put together a combat flight simulator, the repetitive hack-and-slash action of Dynasty Warriors, and an elegant character lineup and storyline by Square Enix. And what do you get, my fellow gamers? This is Eric from the CGR Studios here to bring you an adventure that you will probably either love or hate. It's DRAKENGARD, developed by Square Enix for the PlayStation 2. Now, the elements that I have mentioned are rarely brought together, but leave it to Square Enix to assimilate them and give it a nice shiny coat of medieval JRPG paint. You begin the game as Kaim, a handsome young warrior with an unfortunate chip on his shoulder that causes him to hate a lot of things. Particularly dragons, one of which murdered his parents, right in front of his face. As a result, he has sworn eternal vengeance against the Empire and all dragons. He is also personally charged with keeping his sister Furii, known as the Goddess, throughout the game. You know, if I had dashing good looks like our friend Kaim, I doubt I'd have much to be unhappy about. You know, I can fight, probably have a lot of cash, and a nice shiny coat of armor. I'd be sweeping girls off their feet. Instead, Kaim is in charge of keeping the Union safe from the rival Empire's armies that are swarming around the royal castle. In DRAKENGARD, you fight either on foot with Kaim or one of his buddies against swarms of Empire goons armored to the teeth. When you begin the game as Kaim, you can fight with his sword, but you will come into a command of an arsenal worthy of defeating all of your foes. You also can use magic attacks, of which when your blue magic meter is full, can wipe out an entire company of Empire swine. During Dragonflight stages, things get a little trickier, but the experience is well worth it. You can select multiple targets to launch fireballs from your dragon, whether your targets are on air or on foot, and can also launch devastating magic attacks that can wipe out entire Empire armies. The amount of experience points you receive in the game is dependent on how many enemies you defeat, and with which weapon. The same goes for your dragon, and you will have to decide between the two if you're fighting a battle where you can switch between fighting on foot and dragonback. You can't call this a JRPG without a fairy tale, storybook theme. The stages are called chapters, of which there are 8, and are divided into verses. Dialogue between characters happens in-game and in cutscenes, neither of which are chokingly embarrassing or contrived. The game does not come without its faults, however, much of which got in DRAKENGARD ill feedback. For example, the English storyline differs greatly from the Japanese version in terms of detail. The Japanese version is much darker and includes themes of incest, cannibalism, infanticide, pedophilia, you know, all those wholesome qualities we here in the States are hungry to know about. But I'll leave it to you, fellow gamers, to discover these differences yourself. But the game would probably not have been legally sold in the United States without some severe cutbacks in the storyline. Also, if you're like me and can't stand inverted controls when you're aiming to shoot at enemies, you will not like trying to aim fireballs at baddies during Dragonflight. I feel that this game is easy to get used to, however, and I would like to hand it to Square Enix for stepping outside the box and pulling in elements of hack and slash into its gameplay, so that they could bring us DRAKENGARD.